Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of the Shoulder Pad. I'm your host, Byron Franklin, and boy, I'm so excited about the guest that we have today. I've talked to football players and talked to a lot of friends of mine, but today I have an opportunity to talk to an extremely successful coach, Bill Clark, who is kind of on a small hiatus right now, and I'm so excited and just I can't tell you how honored I am to have the opportunity for you to be on the show. Our relationship began through you contacting my son, Brandon, who is actually on this squad now with the team at UAB. And I really wanted this opportunity to say thank you. And I've said thank you a bunch of times, but I really wanted to say thank you to you because I shared before that at the time when he was really at his lowest, he had gone through an injury and wasn't hearing from anybody, you reached out to him. And when you did that, Coach, man, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything a person can do to endear them to someone than to do something for their child. And when that happened, it just put you on the top of the totem pole with me and my family and the whole Franklin clan, man, because it was what he needed at the time that I couldn't give him, that nobody else could give him, and you did that. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that. But I want to get into this. Bill Clark, I want to talk about you and your career. And I tell you what, I always feel old, man, when I look at these ages and look at when people were born and stuff. You were born in 1968.
Yep.
Oh, my God. So that makes me 10 years your senior.
We'll never know it.
And well, that's good. I try to stay in shape, but it always dates me, man. I always walk away going, "Oh my God, man, I'm older than Bill Clark. God Almighty!" And so it always ages me. But you were born in Anniston, Alabama, and your alma mater was Jacksonville State, and you went to Piedmont High School. You started coaching as an assistant there at Piedmont. You coached in Tuscaloosa County, Coffee County, Dothan. My wife is from Enterprise, so Dothan, Alabama. And then Prattville, I believe, was your first head coaching job.
Correct.
And from Prattville, you assembled a 106-11 record. That's pretty impressive, Coach. And then from that, you went on to South Alabama to be a DC.
Yep.
And from South Alabama, you moved on to Jacksonville, become the head coach of Jacksonville, and there you took them to their first playoff victories, and you kind of established the program and kind of put them on the map and took them to another level. I think they had some success at one time, and you came in and you kind of rejuvenated the program, and it seemed to be a kind of a MO for you, because when you got to UAB, you did the same thing. And at UAB, you had division, Western Division 3 times. 2-time U Conference USA champions. You took them to a bowl game. You were coach of the year in 2017. Eddie Robinson, coach of the year in 2018. Sports News College Football Coach of the Year in 2018. So your record speaks for itself, and your accomplishments speak for themselves. And just tell me about that whole experience, just going from high school all the way to college. Was your dad a coach?
Yeah. So, my dad was a high school coach, had been a football and basketball coach, and we know him better as a football coach, but was a basketball coach too. And I like talking about that because that's what, that whole experience, I always feel like we talk about age, like I'm probably a lot older. So in coaching you, from
put years on you.
Yeah, and you just know, my history was, back in that one bedroom that had that old window unit air conditioner, the only air conditioner in the whole house. That's where it was his office. And, that's where he'd watch those 16 millimeter films, right. Early 70s. And I learned how to fix that film. And I wanted to watch it. And I knew from the jump that I wanted to coach. Yeah. And I always say I loved every part of it, but the interaction between him and his players and staff was my favorite thing. Yeah. The motivation, it was always more than a game. It was I always say family, faith, and ball.
Yeah.
And of course, faith probably should go first, but all those things were just so intertwined.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always wanted it to be. And that's how I've tried to keep it. So, I had a chance early on to get some really probably more responsibility in high school. When I was 22, I'd been coaching a few years because I'd got injured, which we'll talk about. So I had a chance to be a DC at 22 of a good high school at Piedmont, or go be a GA in college.
Yeah.
And I'd already turned down a student job in college, and that just put me on the high school path.
Yeah.
And because I liked that responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I just stayed as a defensive coordinator. I turned down some head jobs really until Prattville. And then at Prattville, when I felt like we had kind of accomplished the mission, then it was time to go look at the next step, which was college.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you feel like that once you had the success that you had at Prattville, that you kind of felt like the platform was established for you to take a look at the next level? Is that how you felt?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm big on feeling like we've accomplished the mission, before I leave. And I felt like at Prattville, we went from, 99, I get there in June, and 18 guys show up at the first meeting. And I'm like, Lord, what have you got me in? So, we had 130 guys out 10 through 12. We had 80 players on the freshman team, and 7th grade, 8th grade youth programs, and we were winning in all. I was athletic director. We were winning in everything pretty well. And not to be arrogant, but just to say it was really, we were established. And then with South Alabama, we were starting a program from the jump, from scratch. So that was a great challenge. I was still in the state, and on a lot of good things.
Yeah. So I keep seeing that same MO. You kind of have the makeup of a builder, where you're going in and you're just kind of going building them from ground up, and taking what you have to take. And I'd say this, I've seen great programs. Of course, I've been around like Thompson. I've been around Thompson program, and then I was in Demopolis, man. I was in Demopolis, and there ain't nothing in Demopolis,
Right.
And you gotta. There's something about being in that kind of arena that I think really kind of builds you, because man, you got to make it happen. I mean, you got to pull strings together. You got to tie rope around things. You got to glue stuff together. And, you may not have all the equipment that everybody has. You may not have the facilities that everybody else has. So I think it really puts you in a mindset that you got to really kind of go and have hands-on to be able to make things come together to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And I think those environments, I'm from a coaching home. My dad coached for 40 years in North Alabama. And man, it's been tough being in my dad's shoes, because he coached for 35, 40 years in high school. He is in the first class of the Hall of Fame inductions at Alabama A&M. He is first class induction of North Alabama Hall of Fame. He is in 4th or 5th class of induction in Walker County, where he grew up. He grew up in Walker County. And so man, this guy, he's just been, my mentor, and being in that environment. But I know exactly what you're talking about when you talk about the relationship, because from the time that I could walk, I would be with him going to practice and riding on the bus to games, and just kind of soaking that whole environment up. And I just never knew anything else. And so to get over in it, I didn't go into coaching. Well, I did, but I didn't. I coached with women's basketball with Joe Champion as a volunteer assistant for 3 years. Went to 3 Final Fours with him, and I coached high school a little bit. I coached middle school. I was a head coach for middle school, high school in Demopolis, and of course little league stuff. And so I did all of that just to I accidentally got into it with the boys. I did it with the basketball team to get some experience right after I retired from the NFL, just so if I did go into coaching, I had some kind of a platform that I could say I was involved in to go and do that. And then life just kind of took another turn, and ministry stepped up. But all of those things that you talk about, are all of the elements that put together Bill Clark. Of course, I'm sure you could name names, you could name mentors, you could name coaches, you could name all kind of aspects. And like I came at that, the players that were playing for my dad would show up at the house and go in the refrigerator like they were at home. You know,
Correct.
walk in the house and get something to drink. Hey, coach, how you doing? Walk in and you know,
Yep.
eat and just, it was kind of like it was a Grand Central Station, you know, but it was a relationship and it was a life.
Yep.
And so I think I saw it and you saw it from a whole different perspective than a lot of folks who see coaches successful and win. And I'm going to be a coach because I want to be successful and win too, but they don't have that part. They don't have the life part. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
can go get the degree. They can go get, you know, the training and go through internships and all of that stuff. But I think real coaching is connected to the life part. And I saw that in you. And, you know, the first time I walked out on the practice field, I had the opportunity with Jimmy Lee to walk out and see a practice. Man, I felt like I was at home when I walked out there because you had that thing operating like a clock. And you were not micromanaging, you were overseeing. Everybody was doing their job, the coaches were coaching. And that's the environment. I love that, man, to see guys doing their jobs and the head coach. You're not all in everybody's business. You're just watching.
Right.
It's like you're looking at it from a tower, and you're making sure that everything is flowing. The culture was what I saw that I really loved. And so we talk about the game, we talk about seasons, we talk about accomplishments, we talk about strategies, but we don't talk about us.
Right.
And right now is a great time to talk to you because right now you're in transition, man. You're in transition. And most of us, at some point in time in our life, we're going through a transition. I call myself a lifer, and I call you a lifer because you've been in this thing all your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in it all your life. You from the time your dad, being around your dad, and like you said, watching film, and you know, hey, it's gone from the millimeter film now to digital, and
yeah.
You've seen all of the transition and all of the things that have taken place, and so I want to tap into Bill Clark, the person, because I'm told by a dear friend of both of ours that you're probably one of the greatest leaders he's ever seen. And I saw some of that. I saw it just by observing you on the field and watching how you operated and how you managed your staff and your team and how you and the success that came from it. And so I want to talk a little bit about what is Bill Clark doing now, because we all face transition, whether it's temporary or whether it's permanent. We all have to do what I call reinvent ourselves. Give me your foundation. I know it's faith. I know it's family. I know that. But give me some stuff about Bill Clark that's helping you right now while you're in transition, because I know you're going to coach again. But I know you're in transition. You may not have the exact answer. And you got to rely on some things right now that you got to bring from in here.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear about. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just a couple of things that you said earlier. I just, one, I didn't get to brag on you, and it really has nothing to do with who you were as a player, which was great. It's that raising you had shines through, who you are as a person, who you are as a family man. That's what I love. You won't know this, but I was bragging on you yesterday, and it was about these other things. Yeah. It's just who you are and what you project. And so I think the things that, if we can use these things that sports taught us, dealing with adversity, having a plan, that's kind of the things that I think for all of us that are taking that next step. Because let's talk about the things that an athlete / coach we all have, which is we've got this regimented schedule.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
But there's a prize at the end, which is a game. So we got training, we got practice, we're busy. Somebody's giving us, we got these things that are set out for us to do. Yeah. And then let's just be honest with it. There comes a thing called attention. Yeah. As you said, people pushing to the front of the line. There's things that come with that that are great. There's compensation. So I think one thing I would always say, and of course, if we're talking to somebody that's they've gone through this, now they're saying, what do? You would like to say, hey, we got to have this plan, and that's the thing that I talk to my guys about as players all the time is, what is your plan when this goes away, and of course it's simple to say, deal with adversity, deal with a problem, deal with a setback. But as you said, what's the specifics to that? And it's, for me right now, coming off an injury, which is a lot of guys, it ended my career years and years ago before I was really, doing anything great. But it was, I had a next step plan, which was coaching.
Yeah.
Now, as I see this coaching in, what's the next step? Well, right now it's I get up every day and I think about getting well.
Yeah.
But I also have other things, whether it's being involved in church, whether it's being involved with charitable organizations, whether it's being involved in giving talks. It's what is my next thing that I want to do. And as we talked about Jimmy Lee a minute ago, he says a lot, you got to have a mountain to climb.
That's right.
So it may just be getting up and going to a workout where I'm working on stretching. I'm going to a therapist. I'm doing these things, but that's things that athletes and coaches, that's what we're used to, is setting these goals.
Yeah.
So I still think, and I talk a lot about short-term goals and long-term goals.
Yeah.
Short-term goals are things, and I talked about, when you talk about, we could talk all day about what they are, but let's just say family, and I'd ask those guys, I say, are you calling your mama once a week? And I said, look, I lost my mom when I was 19 in a car wreck. I wish I could talk to her, so a short-term goal is I'm going to reach out to my family.
Yeah.
Once a week. Long-term goal is I'm going to take care of my family, but short-term goals, I think all of us setting these short-term goals, if you like me, I like writing these things down and checking them off.
Yeah.
So short-term goals are goals that can be achieved now. Long-term goals are goals that we want to have for the future. But for me, short-term goals now, getting up, getting a workout in, getting stretched, making sure this back, short-term goals, that makes me happy right now.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Now I want some other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to need
those
some more.
Get you in position.
Yeah. So,
I got categories for all of my shows, and I haven't categorized this one, but I got like the audible, the outlet, man-to-man, 2-man drill, 2-minute drill. And that's what I call short-term goals, 2-minute drill. Yeah. It doesn't, you're not trying to score. You're simply trying to get yourself in position to score.
Correct.
So you're making moves that's going to get you in position. You're not trying to hit a bomb. You're not trying to get a 60-yard touchdown. And if it happens, that's great. But the 2-minute drill is about short, precise steps that get you in position to be able to score. And I think that to me is exactly what you're talking about with short-term goals. And then the long-term goals, obviously, are some things that you want to, you said something, and it really, I didn't think about it at the time, but you had to face what a lot of us who I call life football players, man, you had to face that thing early. You had to deal with it's over.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Coach, it took me years. It took me years to get over that, man. And I saw a clip on Mike Tomlin, the coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
And he said something that just blew my mind. He was in a podcast and he was talking to guys, and they asked him, what drives you, coach? Or, what do you think has fueled your success to this level? He said, I never got over not being a successful football player. He said, I never got over it. So what I did was I drove all of that energy where I never got over it. I drove every bit of that energy into his coaching. So really, he found out that he could drive that energy into something else. It's your family. It is reaching other people. It's mentoring. It's helping others outside of yourself or looking outside of yourself. And that's what I'm hearing from you, and which really kind of gives you that leadership quality that Jimmy, our best friend, was talking about. And I just, are there any times when you just by yourself and you're just thinking, okay, what in the world's going on, God? How do I get through this? Yeah.
And I think that's where having good people to talk to, I always say one thing I love to do in the off season, I would come back to, because I'm telling you, every year you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I don't care how much you love it as a coach. You do something 110 hours a week, and then every Saturday you can be real stupid real quick.
Oh, they don't.
people to say you how dumb you are. And I would read good books.
Yeah.
This where I'm having a Nike Coach of the Year clinic in February. And all these coaches are coming. I've always done my own clinics. I've always gone to clinics. I love to hear guys, but people thought was all the X's and O's, and I like X's and O's. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what I loved was, how do you handle your players in the off season? How do you handle discipline? And that's good books. Which if we could say we know the good book. There's the blueprint, the Bible, but good books in that field from people that said, man, I struggled.
Yeah.
I've had adversity. I wake up in the morning going, what's going on? That's okay.
Yeah.
I think when you go, that's normal, and we're going to have some of that.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have it all the time, but we're going to have adversity. We're going to have doubts. We're going to have, what am I doing? Is this right, Lord? So good people, surround yourself with good people, talking to good people, reading good material that gives me encouragement to say, hey, there's other people that have dealt with this.
Yeah.
Now, what do I do with it? What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Cause I still go through it like, all right, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm being honest with you, when we start talking about coaching, I don't know but one way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm there at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then, I'm the first one there, and then I'm not always the last guy to leave, but I leave pretty late.
Yeah.
You're balancing coaching, family, all those things out. And that's because that's the only way I know how to do it. So now I'm saying, do I want to deal with that again?
Yeah.
And there's a lot I miss, so, but talking about, do we all have struggles? Do we have questions? So, yeah, we do, and it's just a matter of knowing other people go through this. This is normal. But I want to hear just like what you're doing. That's why I think, man, I feel honored to be doing this. One, because I think a lot of it, but two, I know it's going to help somebody.
Yeah.
To say, yeah, this is normal. We need a plan. We need to, we need to hear from other good people that have gone through this. And that's why I always tell our players, who are you listening to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you listening to somebody that's got a proven track record of doing good, that have proven themselves and have proven themselves in a bunch of situations?
That's right.
That's to listen to, and that's like talking about Brandon. Yeah, I see a good player, but I see the family. I see a chance to go get, a coach's son.
Yeah.
I'm like, heck, I want those people around me because they make me better.
Yeah.
And that's the people you put around yourself.
You bring him up, and I try not to get too far into that, but man, that dude is so incredible. First of all, he was on the dean's list and the president's list his first semester, and he is going through adversity. He's fighting. He's a guy that probably in any other situation would have been a blue chip prototypical 5-star guy when he got the injury, and so he's having to dig for it, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it to him after he's on the other side. I'm not gonna say it to him now because it'll probably tick him off. But I think it's better for him.
It is.
Coach, I promise you, I think it's better for him. I think it's better for him to earn it. I think it's better for him to have to prove himself. I think because he's not going in thinking he's all this in a bag of chips.
Yep.
And he's seen as who are you? We don't know what you can do. We don't know what you're about. You got to show us. He's moved to a position that, a different position. And so he's having to go through it. And I've had to encourage him.
Yep.
And I've had to use some of my circumstances and situations to talk him through it, which I think has made us closer.
Yeah.
And made us, better together with our relationship. We had a good relationship, but I think it's made us better. And,
sure.
And so yeah, man, adversity has I don't think God throws adversity at us, but I think he takes the opportunity to take that adversity to grow us up. If we face it right, if we view it right, and we have the right perspective, adversity can grow us up. And
and I think not to cut you off, but to say it's not that we're looking for adversity, but when it happens like that, he will be better because that's what life's going to be.
Yeah.
you know, and whether we're talking about an injury, whether we're talking about me getting my program shut down, whether we talk about what that is, I'm going to look back to those times and say, I survived them.
Yeah.
And I came out of it. And
Yeah.
so, and of course, granted, we need good people around us to say, look, man, I've been through this. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of that we see once we get past it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
easy.
yeah. You don't see it in the middle of the storm. It's kind of hard to see the.
But
and
as a good friend of mine always said, you can't have a testimony without a test.
That's it. That's it. And the Bible talks about the fact that it doesn't say if the storm comes of life. It says when the storms come. So we're going to face those challenges and storms, man. They're not easy. And I agree with you 1000%. I think it's really about who you surround yourself with. Chuck Knox used to say, surround yourself with good people and good things happen. And so, to me, that's just so key, man. I've been blessed to be around great coaches and great people. And Ozzie Newsome is one of the people that just, to me, is just a man, incredible guy. And John Stallworth is such a, I tell people all the time, I can't stop doing stuff because I got guys like John Stallworth and Ozzie Newsome who are, both of those guys were receivers that came out of Alabama. Okay, here I am a receiver. I got to do something, man. These guys, they Hall of Famers and people look at them and see them like on Mount Rushmore of people, a person, not just football players. But these guys are, Ozzie grew up in the same area I came from in Carver County. And so we know each other and been knowing each other for years. And so guys like you, Coach Joe Champy actually started coaching with Mike Krzyzewski at West Point. And so that's how he was successful in basketball, because he spent time under Krzyzewski and getting his concepts of basketball and all, and just kind of migrated over to women's basketball. And so how I ended up in that was I had the knee injury. I'm back at Auburn. I'm going to school. And he asked me, he said, hey, why don't you come out here and work with us? And I was like, Coach, I can't work with women. I don't know if I can do that. And he said, well, come to practice. And I went to practice and he was yelling at them girls and making them cry and stuff. I said, oh yeah, I can do that.
That's what I do.
So the exposure to, Mel Rosen, one of the best track coaches in America that ever was, and just all of the different people that I've had an opportunity to be around, and that Freeman now, and what he's doing, it's just absolutely it's historical, what he's doing. And so all of the different people, I try to draw from everybody I'm around. I try to pull something from everybody that I'm around. And when I was in the NFL, we had 25 guys battling for 3 positions at receiver in camp, because 3 of those, well, actually it was 25 guys battling for 2 positions. 2 of those guys were already, they were starters.
Yeah.
So the only other positions were guys who were there, who wasn't starters. And you had 25 guys coming to camp, battle for like 2 or 3 positions. It was crazy. But so what I did was I said, man, I'm going to look at everybody out here and I'm going to take the best of everybody's game and I'm going to apply it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever ran the best out route, I'm going to run it like him. Whoever ran the best go route, I'm going to run it like them. Whoever ran the best stop, whoever read the routes the best, whoever did this, whatever quality they had, I applied those qualities to myself. I ended up being the inside slot guy, and I probably caught 70 passes in the slot position between the linebackers. I learned how to read coverages and read double. They would double me all the time because I was the guy that they went to on 3rd down in Buffalo. So I learned how to read inside, outside coverage. I learned how to read short, long coverage, single coverage, man-to-man, and zone. So I right off the snap of the ball, if they jumped into it, I learned how to recognize it and read it. And they just couldn't figure out how I kept getting open. But the main thing is I ran the 40 in 4.3 seconds. So that helped. That helped. They were at a disadvantage whether they knew it or not. If a guy was in 3rd coverage and he was by himself, he was in trouble whether he thought he was back far enough or not, because I made up that ground right away. So I think who you surround yourself with, and how you face challenges is really critical to making it through storms, and that's what this is about. That's what you're doing, and that's how you have become the leader that you are, and the success that you've had. And I you know, I'm just kind of pulling. The moment I walked out there on the field, I was watching you, and I was just studying you, and you would think I would be studying. It would be about my son, but I knew that if he was in the right environment, if he was in the right culture, it was going to be on him to make it. It was going to be on him to put forth the effort. And it was going to be on God to give him the grace, the attitude, the mercy, or whatever else was going to happen. It was going to happen for him. But yeah. If I saw the right culture, man, that's the greatest thing in the world. And so I saw that. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and how much I'm looking forward to what's next. Because I know, like I said, I know you probably have business stuff you're doing, and all kinds of philanthropy, and all kinds of support and helping others and doing those kind of things, which make up Bill Clark. But I know you got some goals for some other things, and you got some plans, and I'm praying for you. I'm agreeing with you and praying for you. And I want you to close us out by just saying a few things you want to say before we close out.
Yeah, I would just say, to anybody that's listening, I would, encourage you, all of us. I think we all need encouragement, and it's, this is not us preaching to you. It's just saying that we all go through storms and trials. And I think having some things that I want to work toward, and we always talk about the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual in every area, but no, we all go through them. That it's not, you're not the only one going through it, whether you're a former athlete or whoever you are, and just be encouraged. And, but I think, some things you said that I want to kind of finish up on, but know what good looks like, and I think that's the hard thing for somebody, and I could talk about some folks that would always frustrate me, they didn't know what greatness looked like. And I always say you can be a great farmer, coach, player, teacher, business person. You can find great in all those folks, and guys like me and you, we gravitate to that, and we recognize it. And usually I always say it always kind of starts with good people. Yeah. That are humble, that don't mind working, that don't mind sharing the credit. I mean, there's so many things that we all learned in athletics, but what it looks like. I know what it looks like. And that's the people I want to hear from. That's the people I want to be around. So I think if I could encourage people, that's the people you want to be around, talk to, read about, and study. But man, it's a big honor to be on here today. And hopefully we encourage some people today.
Well, I believe we have. I know you encourage me. And that's the main thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing the things that you do in the future. And I'm gonna keep up with you. I am, and I'll reach out to you from time to time and send you a scripture or let you know that you're on my mind. And I appreciate you, Coach. I pray for your family. I believe that you're gonna have great success. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, my friend.
All righty. You have a good day.
And if it all falls down, we can put it back together again.